What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hoops and Stuff podcast. I'm your host, Isaac, and today we are joined again by the same special guest from last episode. We have Nate here.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And today it's going to be similar to last video, but we're going to be going over the top 10 wide receivers currently in the league right now. Obviously, they're like last time, they're all going to be wide receiver ones. So let's just get right into it. To start off at honorable mentions, I have Jalen Waddle. A quarterback like Tua, who doesn't have a great arm, is not very good for Jalen Waddle. But with the talent that Jalen Waddle has, I think that he could definitely be just out of the top 10, probably number 11 this year. I did really like what I seen out of him last year, so I am pretty excited to see him play this year. At number 10, I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. I feel like he was a very underrated wide receiver last season, and Jared Goff had a pretty good year last year, so I feel like he will be pretty accurate on his throws to Amon-Ra, and Jameson Williams could be good, but we haven't really seen him play much, so if he's good, then that could be competition for Amon-Ra. So that could be the only issue that I see with Amon-Ra St. Brown's season is Jameson Williams getting in the way, because he was supposed to be pretty good, but now he was out, so we haven't really seen him play that much.
For my number 10, I got Garrett Wilson. I think he's a great wide receiver to have on the Jets. They just got Aaron Rodgers, so he might have a good year to play this year.
At the number 9 spot, I put A.J. Brown. Last year, he was an elite wide receiver with the Eagles, and he went to the Super Bowl after they picked him up. And he has the best QB in the league with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is better than Patrick Mahomes, and that just helps A.J. Brown a lot because, like I said, he has the best QB in the league. So I feel like he's going to be able to produce like he was last season, but they also have a pretty high-level wide receiver with Devontae Smith, who is still pretty young. So I'm excited to see this Eagles team play this year with the development of Devontae Smith, and let's see if A.J. Brown can stay at that elite level that he was at last year.
For my number 9, I got Deebo Samuel. I think this is maybe a good take. I don't know, but I thought he did play good this last season. He did play really good during the playoffs, but very quick, very fast, and yeah.
At my number 8 spot, I have Garrett Wilson. Nate had him at 10, but I feel like he's better than Amon-Ra St. Brown and A.J. Brown. And so with Garrett Wilson, he was Offensive Rookie of the Year last year. So that shows that he had a great season last year on his rookie year. And he is one of the greatest QBs of all time on his team now with Aaron Rodgers. Last year, Garrett Wilson had Mike White as his QB, and Mike White and Zach Wilson, and he was still able to produce through those two quarterbacks who definitely aren't great, and both are probably backup worthy quarterbacks. But now that he's getting a future Hall of Famer, and with Aaron Rodgers, who obviously isn't as good as he was in the past, but is still pretty. I'd say he's pretty good still. And I feel like that's just going to help Garrett Wilson so much more to become a phenomenal receiver. And I think that he could end up being one of the best in the future.
At number 8, I got A.J. Brown. He did play really good with the Eagles. They did get him during the draft. He did play during the Super Bowl. I thought he did really good last season. I think he might have a great year this season too with Jalen Hurts, and yeah.
At number 7, this is a pretty hot take, but I have Stefon Diggs, and I just don't think he'll have that connection he used to with Josh Allen. I mean, they had their little argument at the end of their last playoff game. So I mean, I think that that's just affected them and the team with Stephon Diggs. So I think that if Stephon Diggs isn't traded, he's not going to do good this year. And speaking of trading him, there were trade talks happening previously, but I haven't really heard too much about those trade talks lately. So I mean, it's questionable, but he probably will not end up getting traded. But he is a clutch receiver. He can make clutch catches, and he can really bring it home for your team. I mean, obviously, one of his most clutch plays ever, where he was playing the Saints, and he caught the pass for the touchdown, and when that was back when he was with the Vikings, playing against the Saints, like I said, but that just shows at least one clutch moment right there for Stephon Diggs. And I feel like if he can find a new team to go to, then he could reach his full potential.
At my number 7, I got Cooper Kupp. He did get injured last season, which is unfortunate, but he did play really good before he got injured. Let's hope he gets a comeback season this year, and he might be a MVP candidate. Yeah.
I put Cooper Kupp at the 6. He had a great season a couple years ago, but he hasn't been great since, just because last year he had his injury. And Matt Stafford is also coming off injury, so it's going to be really hard to tell if Matt Stafford is going to be able to throw those dots to Cooper Kupp like he used to be able to or not, just because Matt Stafford was a pretty good QB when they ended up winning the Super Bowl. So, and Cooper Kupp had a big part in that Super Bowl win too. So, hopefully Cooper Kupp can come back off of his injury and play to the same level that he was playing before his injury. And same with Matt Stafford, because the Rams were insane, but there isn't very much hope with this Rams team. A lot of people are doubting them. So we'll see what happens with that team.
For my number 6, I got Stephon Diggs. Just like Isaac said, Stephon and Josh Allen had that argument on that playoffs game, but he could have a good season, but I don't know if the connection will be good with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs unless if they work something out. But they could be Super Bowl contenders. Obviously, they'll be playoff contenders, but we'll see.
At number 5, I put CeeDee Lamb. CD has progressed over the last couple of years, and he's been doing pretty good. And he makes very great catches over the defense. But I feel like Dak has to have a really good year to produce with CD. And I feel like CD could carry this Cowboys team into the playoffs. I don't think they'll make it very far in the playoffs, but I think that he will carry them to the playoffs. I feel like he's obviously going to be their wide receiver one, but I feel like he's going to be the main target for this Cowboys team.
For my number 5, I got Tyreek Hill. He did have a good season until he got injured also, but unfortunately he got traded to the Dolphins, which I thought he was going to stay on the Chiefs because I know Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek had a great connection, but maybe Tua and Tyreek will have a good connection this season, but he is a really fast runner and great receiver.
At my number 4, I have Devontae Adams, who is a player that I wish I could put higher, but he just isn't playing at that same level that he was when he was like with Aaron Rodgers on the Packers. So I have to put him a little lower and put him at number 4. He is one of the best wide receivers of all time, in my opinion. I am a Packers fan, obviously, so that is probably a biased take. But Jimmy Garoppolo definitely needs to be solid this year for Tay and for Devontae to produce. Just because, I mean, Derek Carr wasn't great last year, but Devontae Adams is used to having a future Hall of Famer for his quarterback. So it's really hard to adjust from going from somebody on that elite level to somebody who could be a backup.
For my number 4 spot, I got CeeDee Lamb. He's a great receiver. I think he will have a really good season this year. I hope he does make top 5 receiver, but we'll see what will happen. But yeah.
At the number 3 spot, I put Ja'Marr Chase. So moving into the number 3, we're going to see the most elite receivers, and Ja'Marr Chase is up there. And I could honestly I could flip him and number 2 between each other. Like I could flip him to number 2 and number 2 to number 3. Like I feel like they're pretty close in their competition. So at number 3 with Ja'Marr Chase, you have a great young receiver, and Joe Burrow did have an injury in the preseason and like training camp, so hopefully he can stay healthy, so that Ja'Marr Chase has a great quarterback like Joe Burrow throwing the ball to him.
For my number 3, I got Devontae Adams. He had an alright season last year with the Raiders, but let's hope he has a better season with Jimmy Garoppolo. But I always thought he was better with Green Bay, which I thought he was going to stay with Green Bay, but let's just see how his season is.
At my number 3, I have Tyreek Hill, and he has insane speed to blow by the defense, just like Nate said, which was a very great point by Nate. And Tua definitely has to work on getting better and staying healthy, just because Tua's arm, he can't really throw too far, and he suffered multiple injuries last year. And Jalen Waddle is a big competition for Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle is a young up-and-coming receiver, and Tyreek Hill is old. I'm not saying he's super old, but he's getting older, and he's going to start moving into Jalen Waddle's shadow. So I feel like this could be a big problem for Tyreek, and I feel like he has to be on a superstar level all year to maintain his wide receiver 1 spot, because Jalen Waddle is going to have a great season, I feel like.
For my number 2, I got Ja'Marr Chase. He did have a really good season last year. Did he get injured at all?
I don't
know if he got injured, but all I know is he had a good season. Let's hope he does. I'm sure he's gonna be better this season with Joe Burrow.
I think he actually did have one injury last season.
Yeah, but Joe Burrow had that ankle injury during training camp. But let's hope he's good, so Ja'Marr Chase can play really good.
At my number 1, I have Justin Jefferson, and this is not even debatable. I feel like everybody has Justin Jefferson at number 1, and he had a great season last year. He won Offensive Player of the Year, and Kirk Cousins is a solid QB, and if you go and check out our episode from last week, you can see where I put Kirk Cousins on my top 10 list. And a problem for Justin Jefferson is Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison is supposed to be a great receiver coming in this year as a rookie, and he is definitely competition for Justin Jefferson, and he's going to be another target for Kirk Cousins to throw to. So with the loss of Adam Thielen, he lost the target, but then he gained one in the draft with Jordan Addison. So that is definitely going to be a problem for Justin Jefferson, especially as Jordan Addison progresses and gets better farther into his career.
For my number 1, I also have Justin Jefferson. I think he's one of the best receivers in the league right now. But Kirk Cousins is really good, but I think he's kind of getting old, which I'm kind of concerned with. But let's hope he'll still be good during this season. And they, like Isaac said, they had that new receiver. What was his name again?
Jordan Addison.
Yeah, Jordan Addison, which there'll be some more competition, just like Isaac said. But Justin Jefferson is he's a really good wide receiver, really fast. But let's see what will happen.
Thank you guys for listening this week. If you enjoyed, hit the like button and subscribe. And thank you to Nate for joining us once again for the second week in a row.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
No problem. And we'll see you guys next Sunday.